Hey everybody, how's it going? It's been a while since we've done a live stream. It is Thursday, September 1st, 2022. The price of Bitcoin is at just over $20,000. It's currently, I'm looking at it fluctuate, $20,019. The price of Ethereum is $1,575. Today's live stream on To The Point. Welcome to The Point with me, your host, Austin M. Craig, with over a decade of experience in Bitcoin and the cryptocurrency world. Today, we're going to be talking about a few things, and it's going to be kind of fast and loose. Bear with me. I've got a lot of ideas swirling around. I think they're fairly important ideas, but I have not taken the quiet time to parse them all to pieces and organize them as thoroughly as I would like to. That's coming in a scripted video. In fact, that's kind of what I've been doing the last few days, is working on scripted content about my Bitcoin node back here. It's not a miner. It's a node, but right there. That's my Bitcoin node validating on the Bitcoin network. In fact, let's take a look. I have been updating that node for now almost 4 whole days. It has been downloading the blockchain. We are now at 94.25%. It's almost there, getting there anyway. And if you care at all about my set, you know, I've changed things up. You might notice that, oh, this side right here. What is that guy right there? What is that thing? That's a goldback, my friends. Have you heard of goldbacks? This was the attempt of a group here in Utah to make gold currency. Technologically carefully measured gold infused into a polymer layer so that it's a gold note, like cash in your wallet. There are a handful of businesses around here that accept them, but it's still mostly a novelty. But it's a novelty that I'm into because, wouldn't you know it, it's right behind me. Here's their website. Gold you can spend. See, it's not stable. It fluctuates with the price of gold, 3.77. Moving on. We don't need to talk about my set anymore. Let's talk about the merge. Before we get into that, I'm shocked how much people don't really understand the history of cryptocurrency and the history of Bitcoin. And the more time passes, the more separated we are from a lot of that founding history and why it matters. Now, if you've never read the Bitcoin white paper, I would highly recommend taking a look at it. There's a reason that Satoshi Nakamoto, whoever he, she, or they are, invented this. There was a very specific reason, actually. It was right in the wake of the 2008 financial collapse. And even though the entire globe was reeling from this collapse, people were losing their homes, losing their businesses. Certainly, there were many marriages that ended. Certainly, there were many people who ended up ending their own lives because of financial ruin. All of this was happening all around the globe. And who was held responsible? Virtually no one. Almost nobody. There was, to my understanding, one middle manager at a bank in Spain who ended up getting arrested. Literally, one person. But virtually everybody else involved, even those most directly responsible, were not only not held to account, they benefited from it. They were bailed out. They were given money to buoy up their institutions that they had poorly managed. So Satoshi Nakamoto saw this, and he wrote the Bitcoin white paper. Let's look up the word trust, because that is something that comes up quite a bit. Commerce on the internet has come to rely almost exclusively on financial institutions serving as trusted third parties to process electronic payments. First line of the introduction. While the system works well enough for most transactions, it still suffers from the inherent weakness of the trust-based model. The foundational idea of the entire cryptocurrency asset class, right? Because this all came from Bitcoin. Bitcoin was the Pandora's box that made the rest of this possible. Why was Bitcoin invented? It was invented because models based on trusting institutions clearly had not worked. We trusted the institutions, they messed everything up, and nobody was held accountable. In fact, they were rewarded for it in many instances. That kind of perverse feedback is only going to get worse over time. And in fact, we've seen that play out. These institutions have become more powerful and become less accountable. Okay, that word trust becomes very important. Let's move on. With the possibility of reversal, the need for trust spreads. Basically, Satoshi talks about how trust is a problem. You don't want to have to rely on trust. The problem, of course, is the payee can't verify that one of the owners did not double spend on the coin. A common solution is to introduce a trusted central authority. But we don't trust our central authorities anymore, do we? So, the whole idea from the very word go was that, you shouldn't have to trust these institutions to have your best interests in mind. They clearly do not. With that in mind, let's move on to the merge, the Ethereum merge. You've surely heard about this. This is the upgrade, giant air quotes here, upgrade coming to the Ethereum blockchain very soon from ethereum.org, the merge. Quote, soon, the current Ethereum mainnet will merge with the Beacon Chain proof-of-stake system. This will mark the end of proof-of-work for Ethereum and the full transition to proof-of-stake. This sets the stage for future scaling upgrades, including sharding. Boy, they need to work on their branding in Ethereum. Sharding? That's really what you want to call this? You sure about that? Some guy sharded over there. Yeah, we're really excited about sharding. Most importantly, the merge will reduce Ethereum's energy consumption by 99.95%. That's great, right? It helps Mother Earth. It reduces all of that wasteful consumption of electricity that, let's presume, is associated with the release of carbon gas that makes the Earth more insulated and causes global warming, right? There's a whole chain of logic here that could be questioned at every step. Can and should, frankly, be questioned at every step. The logic being, we're going to use less energy, therefore release less carbon emissions, therefore the Earth will heat less quickly, and voila, we've helped. We've done our part. We're ESG compliant, environmental social governance. We're good to Mother Earth, you see. That's what the merge is about. It does nothing to increase the bandwidth of the network. It does nothing to lower costs. This has no benefit to the end user. It improves their experience 0%. It doesn't even pretend to. This is purely a political move to decrease the electrical usage. That's at least the public narrative, right? We're going to decrease the electrical usage of the network and therefore be good to Mother Earth. This is an optics thing. What else happens with the Ethereum merge? Proof of stake, well, okay, stake, the people who hold it get to make decisions for the network, and the people who hold the most get to make the most decisions for the network. Gosh, that sounds a lot like something I've heard of before. Oh, right, the existing financial regime. The entire existing financial structure is premised on the idea that the haves get to make the rules and the have-nots get to abide by those rules without any real input. You can play by the rules of the people who have all the money, and if you don't like it, well, you can go screw yourself because you don't get to make those rules, you see? The whole idea of Bitcoin is that we're going to make a system where the rules are set and people don't get to tamper with the rules. Proof of stake is a reversion to the existing financial regime, and it just makes it on a blockchain. It runs 24/7. It doesn't rely on office hours as Wall Street typically does, right? We've been moving away from the 9-to-5 whole idea for a long time. This facilitates that. So if the existing financial structure is A-okay by you and you don't see any, moral quagmire involved, then I guess something like the merge is just great. Awesome. There are going to be real consequences, though, for people who hold and use Ethereum. Let's talk about those. First of all, this whole idea of being energy, reducing energy usage and it helping people. This is an extremely dubious assumption. You've heard me talk before about how Bitcoin incentivizes production of energy that otherwise would have been wasted. Remote energy, stranded energy, energy in places that couldn't be transported to centers of population where it might be used. What you can do with remote energy is mine Bitcoin. You just drop a Bitcoin miner right there, do it on location, and then teleport that Bitcoin to wherever else in the world you want to go. Bitcoin can teleport with even a weak internet connection. Energy cannot. Power relies on a robust infrastructure and has a finite radius that it can travel. Bitcoin production of stranded energy or otherwise wasted energy allows there to be energy created that otherwise would have been totally lost It allows it to be directly monetized, a buyer of last resort. And if there is a need or use for that energy that is more valuable than mining Bitcoin, because remember, this is not cheap. People invest a lot of money into this. Their variables move a lot, including the price of Bitcoin. So Bitcoin miners are a buyer of last resort, but they are not the only buyer. If you're producing energy in a location and somebody else needs it more and can pay more, they will. And now you have energy production in that location. Otherwise, it would have been financially infeasible to do that. Bitcoin mining incentivizes the electricity grid to be more elastic, more robust, to produce more and greener energy in a way that nothing else does. So this whole idea that we just need to use less energy, that's a farce. That is a total farce. And nothing has made this more evident than what's going on in Europe right now. Europe is facing a situation where they have been shut off from the remote oil-produced hydrocarbons from Russia, right? And this has all been the fallout of years long of people saying, like, we need to go green. We need to burn fewer fossil fuels. And so that what they've said is, like, let's do more wind. Let's do more solar. I got bad news, guys. Those renewable sources, I like them. They're great. I have nothing against those things. In fact, I'm having solar installed on my roof literally right now as we speak. Those are awesome. They do not replace hydrocarbons. They are nowhere near being able to replace hydrocarbons. But these sanctions meant to hurt Russia are going to end up hurting Europe. In fact, they're doing it already, right now. People are going to freeze this winter in Europe because they don't have enough heat. They don't have oil. Factories are shutting down. Small businesses are shutting down. The price of energy has skyrocketed. And that is going to catalyze a whole domino effect of other things collapsing. Hydrocarbons are used to make fertilizer. Fertilizer is used to make food. Russia and Ukraine produced a whole bunch of the world's wheat. They're not exporting that right now. And a whole bunch of the other food produced in Europe relies on fertilizer. Fertilizer that comes from hydrocarbons. Fertilizer that isn't getting the hydrocarbons it needs. You don't have hydrocarbons, you don't have fertilizer, you don't have food. So they're not going to have heat. They're not going to have food. This is going to ripple around the globe. You've seen all of the finance YouTubers talking about the collapse in China that's coming pretty soon. Their whole infrastructure is failing as their real estate market collapse. Their heavily over-leveraged real estate market is falling to pieces. We're about to see something catastrophic happen in Europe, too. Does it sound like I'm talking about the end of the world? Ugh, it's not. But man, it sure feels that way. Things are going to get ugly, and I'm amazed this is not more top of mind. This guy on CNBC, is that what this is? Dylan LeClaire tweeted this. I really respect Dylan LeClaire. The guy gets it in a way that very few people do. And this gentleman, I don't even know what his name is, but let's listen to what he has to say.
Is these policies that are ESG driven and morally driven, that we should convert everything to alternative energy tomorrow, are going to end up starving the poor children of the world. Like it's and killing many of them. So it's counterintuitive that could actually happen, and that's what we're seeing, Melissa, with the prices at $1,000 a megawatt hour, 1,000 euros a megawatt hour. You know, you're going to see real problems in Europe. I can't believe it's not on the front page of every paper every day.
Okay, this is happening right now. This is happening right now. This fertilizer shortage, we're coming up on winter and people don't have power to run their heaters. They're not going to be able to run factories. Small businesses are shutting down because their energy costs have quintupled, quadrupled, 10x'd, whatever it might be. This is bad. We should use less energy. I know, we'll shut off production and importation of energy. That'll ensure that we use less of it. People are literally going to freeze to death because of these policies, because of the short-sighted optics that politicians are making choices on. Making those choices based on what a little Swedish girl decided to do, decided to skip school because she was going to protest global warming. I can't believe that major political choices were made based on this. It's so ludicrous to me that I actually am starting to buy into these like conspiracy theories that make it sound like, you know, there are groups trying to make the existing world order collapse because then they can rebuild. I'm starting to think that there may be something to that because these are so insane. I don't know why else you would do them. Okay, here's something else involved with the merge. Have you ever heard of a replay attack? This was a new idea to me, but I was just listening to a podcast where they were talking about it. If there's a hard fork and you get your holdings duplicated on a proof of work chain, don't interact with those NFTs or other assets on ETH until you've moved your proof of stake NFTs or other assets and ETH to a fresh wallet. Why? Because of replay attacks. A replay attack is where somebody duplicates a transaction that was publicly broadcast on one channel, on one chain, on the duplicate chain. Because for a time, those two are going to be basically identical. And if a transaction happens on one, all of that information is publicly broadcast. You can duplicate it. You can capture that info, duplicate it on the other. And I think there is going to be a tremendous amount of, shall we say, shenanigans, right? To my understanding, if I understand this correctly, there is nothing that the Ethereum Foundation has put into their code for the merge that prevents this from happening. Now, we've seen forks before, Bitcoin and Bitcoin Cash, and the programmers behind the protocol put some code in there to prevent this from happening. I have not heard anybody say that this has been hard-coded into ETH to not happen with the merge. So how do you stay safe in the midst of the merge? Quote, this is from a Medium blog post, ETH proof of work coin and dangers of replay attack. So we come down here. How do you stay safe? After the merge, the best way to stay safe interacting with both the proof of stake and proof of work chain will be if the developers of either chain include a replay protection, just like BTC during the Bitcoin hard fork. They have not. This doesn't exist right now. So it is advised not to do any transactions for a while after the merge till there is an official announcement of a replay protection. Hold on, so let me get this straight. They could put code in there to make sure that this doesn't happen, but they haven't done that. So what I need to do to stay safe after the Ethereum merge is to not do anything. Literally don't use it. Here, we're going to upgrade the network. Make sure not to use it for a good long time afterward. Are you kidding me? Guys, there are going to be very ignorant people and lots of ruthless opportunists. There's going to be chaos when the merge happens. I think public sentiment is going to go south real fast. This is a buy the news, what is it? Buy the rumor, sell the news? The rumor is the merge is great. Ultrasound money. Oh my gosh. The Bankless guys and Justin Drake of the Ethereum Foundation are hyping themselves up to say that Ethereum is ultrasound money. You repeating it over and over does not make it true, gentlemen. And it really feels like they just do not grasp the simple foundational things that make money work. This social technology we call money. One of the things that makes money work is that it's stable in every sense of the word. It doesn't get tampered with. The rules don't change. There aren't central bodies that manipulate the thing. That's why we're dubious of the dollar. That's why we're dubious of the existing financial system. But these guys seem to think that they can manipulate ETH into being ultrasound money. Holy cow. The reason Bitcoin is valuable is because it is tamper-proof. It is unkillable. There isn't a central body. Satoshi disappeared. I'm getting really worked up, but like for real, I think that this is a disaster waiting to happen. And I'm not like probably a lot of Bitcoin maximalists are, where I see disaster on the horizon for the crypto space and I say, good, they deserve it. I hope it burns everything down because Bitcoin will be left standing. Maybe that's true, but it's not something I look forward to. Another criticism is that ETH will dump hard because a lot of ETH has been locked up in anticipation of this merge for like a couple years. So more than 12 million staked ETH are about to get unlocked and suddenly the supply is going to get flooded. There is some validity to this criticism, but if I understand correctly, and I'm really just going on what I read on Twitter, that ETH will be unlocked slowly over a period of months or like a year. That could still totally increase the supply and create sell pressure because a lot of these folks, if they're looking at the Ethereum, if they're looking at Ethereum and they're realizing that things are volatile, things are ugly, and they're still in profit from where they bought or where they staked over 2 years ago, they may just sell it so they can be like, I'm good. I'm just going to sell it and hold it in self-custody because I don't like this volatility. And I guarantee you, I have to think there's going to be volatility associated with this. historical analog. Have we seen anything like this before? Shenanigans, shall we say, en masse on the Ethereum blockchain? Well, yes, we have, and not that long ago. In April, the Yuga Labs, the makers of the Other Side Metaverse and ApeCoin and Bored Ape Yacht Club and all that, they minted their land for their metaverse. And it basically crashed the Ethereum network. It was unusable for a night. Gas fees were insane. They were in thousands of dollars, and people, it was just getting burnt. And they weren't, oftentimes the transactions weren't even going through, right? So you could spend thousands of dollars to do a transaction that totally fails, and you still just burned that money and it's gone. So here's a boardroom.tv article that's asked, why did Yuga Labs Other Side Metaverse launch draw backlash? If you weren't familiar with this, I think is a decent rundown. And the reason I think it's a decent rundown is because it puts forward the idea that I think a lot of places shied away from because they don't want to sound like crazy conspiracy theorists. The fact is that there is strong reason to believe that Yuga Labs did this on purpose, that it was shenanigans, it was deliberate, that they crashed the Ethereum chain on purpose so that they would have a narrative reason to launch their own chain, their own L1 for their coin. So this is from Yuga Labs, their tweet when all this happened. We're sorry for turning off the lights on Ethereum for a while. It seems abundantly clear that ApeCoin will need to migrate to its own chain in order to properly scale. We'd like to encourage the DAO to start thinking in this direction. Aw, shucks. It's sure too bad that Ethereum stopped working when we launched our metaverse. They could have done simple programmatic things to prevent this from happening, but they didn't. They let it be a train wreck, and they wanted it to be a train wreck. This person, arcdev.world. All right, I'm feeling like this poorly written smart contract that sucked $70 million plus in unnecessary gas fees from innocent minters was done intentionally to push the narrative of their own chain and getting people to go for it. Wow, am I wrong? So they're speculating, but this person, Mark Bailin, is not speculating. He seems very confident that this was a deliberate sabotage. If there is an opportunity to take advantage of a chain for mass profit, people are going to do it. The merge is replacing the engines on an airplane at 30,000 feet on a live network. I think the merge is going to increase the number of attack vectors that you could go after Ethereum and attack people on. And there are so many different projects and so many different permutations and so much complexity involved here that there will be no shortage of nefarious actors who can figure out ways to suck money from people. I think it's going to be a train wreck. I think it's going to be so bad. Buy the rumor, sell the news. I think the news is going to be ugly. None of this has even gotten into the idea that the merge itself is a means of, ESG. It's more environmentally sound. That's the whole public narrative, right? The merge will reduce Ethereum's energy consumption by 99.95%. That's the public narrative. I think that's a front. What the merge actually does is it centralizes the Ethereum chain, so that you can do things like this. You can sanction Tornado Cash. If there's something that central planners do not like that's happening on the Ethereum blockchain, they can just turn it off. They can have the proof of stake people, the people with the most Ethereum, just decide. They can just roll it back. Vitalik Buterin, a little while ago, tweeted something about how Bitcoiners have this mountain man fantasy. What he was talking about is that they're rugged individualists. My response to that is totally the yes, Chad, laser eyes, like, yes, we're individualists. We think individuals should be able to make up their own mind what they do with their money. Not that central planners who manipulate the whole network and can retroactively decide you don't get to make that transaction. We're going to roll things back, or we're going to sanction you, or we're going to turn you off, we're going to blacklist you. We think that's a bad idea. One of the developers on Tornado Cash got arrested, if you will recall. And here's a funny thing, funny in the most morbid, dark sense. They won't let his wife talk to him. His wife is precluded from speaking with her husband. If you'll remember, some recent news we got is that BlackRock is going to start offering Bitcoin to their institutional clients. This scares the crap out of me, because if BlackRock becomes the custodian of a huge portion of Bitcoin, then they can change the rules. Centralization and censorship are the same thing. If it is censored, if it is centralized, then it is censorable. Those are the same thing. You need something to be totally decentralized, and you need it to be done in a way where the rules don't change. In addition, we've got the Federal Reserve doing Fed Now. They're rolling up the rollout for that. This is a prelude to CBDCs. And what are CBDCs? Central bank digital currencies. Why they're fast, why they're convenient. No, they're an enforcement mechanism for social credit scores. Let's take a look at something I saw over here. This is a great tweet. I don't know who did this. This is from @Sats symbol Satoshi, Sats symbol on Twitter. New anti-CBDC ads. I would love to attribute a link on them for more info about CBDCs. Any suggestions on who made these? Because I don't know, and neither does he. This is Klaus Schwab, director of the World Economic Forum, the group at the center of a great deal of really ugly, extrajudicial political movement in the world. Extrajudicial in the sense, extra legislative, right? They operate above the legislators. They guide prime ministers and presidents and those sorts as to what the legislation should look like in their country. Ugh, it's so perverse. I thought we had independent countries. Klaus Schwab, you've reached your quota of meat this month. Sorry. Or maybe this guy who is, I can't remember what central banker he is, but he's one of them. A surplus fossil fuel tax will be taken from your account this month based on your mileage records. Or Christine Lagarde of the European Central Bank. You appear to be outside of your approved geolocation. Purchase declined. Are you interested in having your money converted entirely from money that you can spend anywhere, anyhow you want, at any time, and having all of that turned into a coupon that others get to decide when, where, how, and on what you purchase that at any time? They can dynamically, programmatically prevent you from doing any kind of purchase that they don't like for any reason, and you do not have any position to negotiate on this. This is a nightmare. This is a Black Mirror episode. This is a total dystopia. The fact that anyone talks about it in any other way is mind-boggling to me. Ripple seems to be really excited about CBDCs. Ripple joins the new digital dollar initiative to help explore solutions for U.S. CBDC program. Ripple is an enemy to freedom. Ripple is a bad actor. And here's, I guess, the whole crux of this video right here. I am realizing more surely than I have in the past that we are surrounded by bad actors. We are surrounded by people who want to capture these systems, centralize that power, and use it against you. They do not care what you want. Coinbase is another group that has for a very long time demonstrated that they do not care about their users. They care about their bottom line, and they will work actively against the interests of their users. So they just did a video on their YouTube channel with 63,000, almost 64,000 subscribers. Around the Block, episode 31, the future of stablecoins and CBDCs, with Visa's head of CBDC, Catherine Gu. Thankfully, this only got about 400 views, and it only has 2 comments. Both of them are from me saying that this is shameful and that they should be ashamed of themselves. So that's fun. At least that message isn't getting very far. But hey, at least when the Federal Reserve is diminishing the value of your savings, destroying your freedoms, at least they're doing it with lots of superficial diversity in their office, because that's what really matters. Use less electricity and have a diverse office. That's the stuff that ultimately matters, not individual freedom, not lifting people out of poverty, not creating robust systems that self-balance themselves without central parties, without manipulators over all of it. No, we need diversity and ESG. That'll fix everything. All right, I got to get out of here. This has been one of my most cynical videos to date, but geez, you guys, the enemy is at the gate. If you do not have your coins, in Bitcoin and in self-custody, there's never been a better time. Do it now, friends. Actually, there have been better times. You could have done it before this whole cascade of Celsius and other networks, Voyager and others going down. That would have been smart. I got mine off of those networks, off of those centralized services just in time. Frankly, I was very lucky. I got my money out of Celsius 3 weeks before they shut it off. I got my money out of Voyager at the same time. I did it over several days because they were throttling how much I could withdraw. I had to withdraw every day as max amount, but over the course of about a week, I got it all off. And then 3 weeks later, those services shut off withdrawals. Whew, it ain't getting better out there. You need to be aggressively free. I'm talking to myself as much as anybody else. Run your own node. Hold in self-custody. Educate yourself. There is no substitute for that. All right, friends, I got to get out of here. Peace. We'll talk again soon. More scripted content coming in the near future. We'll talk to you then. Oh, and let me know down below what you would like to talk about, what topics interest you.